Hi, today I've come along to one of my favourite gravel pit complexes with the Duke to do some pike fishing, and today's subject is fishing with lures. That'll do that. Our latest fishing tale begins with a reel, strangely enough, or to be more specific, a reel that Abu Garcia wanted to send me for review. Send me a reel to stop a bus, I told them, and so they did. The truth is that the Duke and myself will go out fishing on the flimsiest of excuses. Present us with a reason why we might need to go fishing, and we'll be there faster than a proverbial rat up a drainpipe. Many's the time when we snuck out before daybreak, returning usually the same evening, having been out product testing. To tell you the truth, I was excited about trying the reel out. I've been a fan of Abu Garcia reels for years, and back in the day I used to collect some of the Ambassador series. I used them prolifically in Sweden, where I came upon perhaps the best fishing guide I have been honoured to fish with, Anders Forsberg. Anders once referred to a huge pike that had followed my lure without taking it as a school bus. It's funny how things stick with you, but that phrase did, and ever since then I've been fishing for buses. Hence my request to send me a reel that can stop a bus. The 2 days that we spent at Langtoft Lakes, one of our favourite gravel pit havens, were wonderful. We varied our approach over the session, switching between dead baits and lures. Mick for the most part fished with bait, while I decided it was a good opportunity to try out the kit and fulfil my promise to review it. As the day unfolded, I began to experiment with a greater variety of lures and retrieve styles. I mixed up my approach between a favourite spoon, some larger swim baits and some of the new McJerk jerk baits, which I was truly impressed with. As well as fishing with the reel and putting it through its paces, I also had the chance to experiment with lures. I caught several fish over the session, nothing huge but great fun nonetheless, and a decent live test for the kit. The Duke meanwhile joined in, and this is interesting. To fish the same lures, we opted for different versions of the same rod. Mine rigged for a bait caster reel and the Duke with the spinning version for his fixed spool. Now, the Duke maintains that heavy lures can be worked just as easily on a spinning setup as a bait casting outfit like mine. Now, far be it from me to disagree with His Highness, but on this occasion I feel compelled to. You see, for certain styles of big lure fishing, a much better action can be imparted into the lure by making a downward or upward sweep of the rod and a series of taps. These cause jerkbait style lures to swing and glide, bringing them to life. Most people who have fished with heavy lures, and especially with jerkbaits for any amount of time, will favour the upside down style that I like. With the bait casting style reel, the rod has a trigger grip which faces down. This is a very nice finger rest and helps in being able to grip and control the rod perfectly. Braid's a must for this type of fishing, of course, and on the day we both loaded our reels with Berkeley X9. Lures that are fished on braided lines swim much better and get bitten more. Moreover, you'll feel every sniff of interest from a following fish that fishing with normal line wouldn't register. As the day wore on, I became increasingly comfortable with my newfound bait casting companion. It was a more consistent performer than the Duke, it didn't answer back, and it seemed much more likely to make a cup of tea than him.
I really like this setup, it's absolutely perfect. The reel particularly, what I like most about it is the low profile shape means it fits into the palm of your hand. What I really like about it is the shape. It doesn't overrun when I'm casting. The magnetic brake on it is really, really good. When you wind the handle forward, it doesn't rock back.
I found myself casting smoother, longer and with better accuracy, a phenomenon down to apparently a dual brake system which prevents the reel from overrunning and backlashing, and seriously folks, it really does. I was falling in love with this piece of kit, but I wanted to test the drag, which I'd been told could apply 30 pounds of drag pressure. A few days later I was piking again with the Duke, and this time on a private Shropshire lake in the company of Hassan Khan. We were all there to do a Facebook live session, catching pike for the camera. No pressure there then. My hopes took a plunge when Hassan informed me that lures would almost certainly be useless on this lake because it was so shallow. 3 casts later, and me and the double figure pike that smashed my lure begged to differ. I finished the session with a couple more pike on lures too, while they skulked around with dead baits. Inspired by my success, I decided that further product testing was required, and so me and the Duke and the Revo Beast went back to the same lake. It's not often that I outdo the Duke when pike fishing, but on this occasion I came up trumps. I was fishing with jerk baits, the new McJerk range actually, and I found that these lures were excellent for suspending over weed or for fishing high and slow in shallow water.
Well, I've got one of the new Svartzonker nature realistic jerk baits with me today, the McJerk, which has been produced in these wonderful natural colours including perch, real roach, there's even an Arctic char and a pike. So the point is that you can actually match the prey species in your lake with one of these lures, and where I think they're particularly good is with bigger, warier pike that have become wary of brighter coloured, more garish lures.
The thing with jerk baits is that they can catch a badly designed reel out. When you tap down with the rod, the reel needs to be able to retrieve the slack line by the time that you make the next tap, and inferior reels just don't keep the line tight.
But if the pike are a little bit more quiet and dour, then a more subtle retrieve is in order, and that's where these Svartzonker McJerk lures really score, because you can actually wind these in with a straight retrieve, just pausing occasionally and putting in the odd faster turn to make the lure stop and then dart. But with a regular straight steady retrieve, it actually swims in a nice continuous kind of rolling S motion, and that can be very attractive to lethargic pike.
With modern jerk baits, I find that the best retrieve is a softer, damper tap. Any road up, it was just when I was making one of those softer, damper taps when the rod locked up and I found myself playing a rather lively fish.
Oh, come and have a look at this, come in close. I won't take the fish out of the water because it won't do so much good, but look at that. It's absolutely mullered, that jerk bait. Well, I'll just get my young assistant to bring in my fish. What do you think of that, mate? That's not bad, is it?
Beautiful fish, mate.
It's a decent pike, actually, isn't it?
It is.
And I've caught it on one of those nature realistic lures that I was going on about. You can see how much the fish wanted it.
Wow.
It's really swallowed it, you know. Look at where the lure is. Oh,
It fell out.
crikey. Well,
I'll tell you what, you're lucky you are.
yeah, I think we just caught around the gill raker
Well
there.
done, mate.
Beautiful fish, cold water, winter fishing with a jerk bait, and this one took the lure on a very subtle straight rot wind with the odd little spin stop in it. Very easy lures to fish, very realistic, and big old pike like this like them.
It was a cracking way to end what turned out to be an exhaustive period of product testing. Indeed, so enthusiastic was the pike that it had swallowed the lure. All went well though, and it was time to head home for tea and medals. And my verdict on the reel? Well, I may not have stopped a bus with it yet, but give me time.